All right, so I'll go over JSON. Let me share my screen. And I'll just open up the dev tools here. This is good enough. All right. So before so we had like some data, whatever, and like I'm just gonna create like an object. Just say my name or whatever. My name, Isaiah. There you go. Data is an object, but we can turn data into JSON. Remember, we're doing JSON.stringify. Whenever we get back data, I mean, whenever the APIs give us back something, they give it back to us as JSON. Like this is JSON. A string representation of an object is JSON. What the fetch object is doing, remember we use fetch so we can get the information. It turns this back into this object. So it's essentially doing like this behind the scenes, that JSON.parse to parse, this JSON here. I'm just gonna paste that right in there. So it turns it back to there, and then you're able to do like dot notation to access the different things inside of it. Just like you were saying, I'm gonna, let me see, let me pull up the actual Pokemon stuff. Duran, did you get a chance to go to the actual, I don't even know if I even gave y'all the link to go to the actual like website.
I actually did.
Yeah. I'm not even sure if I gave that, but let me open it up really quick. I know I have it in here somewhere when I was messing around with it. Where's that? Pokemon. I'm just gonna search this on Google because they got a whole website that it shows there's more stuff on here than so that's the actual website then. So Pokemon, I will put this in the chat also. Pokemon.co. And it shows you all the different stuff you can do. Like we're just like doing like some stuff on in here. Let me go to I'll go here to API v2, just API version 2, and we do a lot of different stuff. I'm click on berries. I guess you can get like the different berries that's inside of the Pokemon game. You can get like contests. There's a get request to this, and you pass in like a name or ID. It looks like, and they even give you like examples of how to use it. Like you can literally just let's see, they should give you examples. But yeah, but either way, we're at this Pokemon section here, and we're just using which one are we using? Pokemon here. I think this is the one we're using. Let me just double check. Yeah, that's the one. So we give a Pokemon, we reference this, which is the first part. Let me put these side by side, which is the first part here. This is the exact same thing. And then we pass in a Pokemon name or ID, but we just passed in the Pokemon name. So I passed in like Zubat here. And I press send for a get request, and we get all that stuff back. And that's when we start to use that dot notation. And something I wanted y'all to download also. Let me just put this in the browser, because remember, get requests are in the browser, so I can just literally put it here, and I get the exact same thing. It's going to format all of that stuff for us. Where we have the abilities, we have experience, different forms. We have a lot of different stuff, all the different moves it does. It's a lot of different stuff in here. You can literally like make your own Pokemon game with all of this info. Different species, different sprites, and these was the ones you was talking about, the sprites. So yeah, you'll probably just do data that you come back dot sprites dot whatever kind of sprite you want to put. and they got like the default one, obviously. I'm gonna paste this URL here. It's probably just like some
Hey, go over that one more time. You
yeah.
said it would be, you said data dot sprites.
Yeah, because we can see if I close all of this stuff, I'm gonna close this too. We can see Sprite is here. Like
Gotcha.
so this whole object is like the data. So it'd be like
Okay, I got you. I got you now. I got you.
that Sprite, and then you can
Because the data was the object at that point, and then sprites is just the folder that you're referencing in that object or the
right,
property that
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So we should be able to see these. Yeah. So here we go. That's the regular picture. You can use whatever picture you want. The female, it says, so whatever the female looks exactly the same. But some of these, I mean, some of these are like really good pictures, but those are just the sprites that I'm using. You can use like these ones also. So yeah, it gives us a lot of stuff. But yeah, and I just kind of picked like random stuff from here. So and I mean, this is a really, like I was showing last time, to download Insomnia. That's always a good way to to use some of this stuff. And also, if y'all put this in a browser, y'all may look a little, it may look a little different for you unless you downloaded Json Formatter, Chrome, and I'm on Google Chrome, so Json Formatter, see Chrome extension. I'll put this in the chat also. I would download JSON formatter, and then it's just gonna format any JSON that comes back, and it's gonna look like mine. Like if you see yours, it's probably gonna look all jumbled up, all on one. It's not gonna be any spacing here. Let me see. If I'm gonna remove it real quick just to show y'all, how it looks. So I removed it. I refresh. See, it looks all jumbled up. Hold on.
Yeah, that's a big difference, man.
Yeah, it's still picking up it thinks that it's there, but I guess it's a little confused, but it should look like that. Let me put it back. So yeah, add extension. I think I probably had to close the browser, open it back up or something like that. But yeah, it's a big difference, like, you know. So, and let me put this in the chat just so y'all can use that too. Let me say. Yeah. So yeah, download that. That helps. And if you don't want to download it, it's fine. You can always just use Insomnia. And I'm not sure if I even put that in the chat before. Insomnia REST download, it looks like. You can just download this to just have that. This is just that app to have on your computer. And you get that same formatting here with like some color. So, it looks a little bit better. I mean, it's smaller. You can probably see more. Actually, yeah, I just zoomed out. So yeah, you can, just looks a little bit different here. All right. Any other questions? I'm gonna answer questions for the next like 9 more minutes, then we'll get started.
Are the updates on the dev tools important?
Oh, like yeah. Wait, updates. What do you mean? Like updates in Chrome in general? You're saying like dev tools?
No, the dev tools, because when I was redoing lesson 82 last night, like the video 82, when I clicked on my dev tools, it was like updates. I was wondering, is that like important?
Yeah, I mean, I never saw like updates like that. Yeah, if they ask you to update, yeah, you can just update. And it's probably just part of like a Google Chrome update in general. So yeah, I never saw it ask me to update, but I always keep my Chrome updated either way. So yeah, I would definitely keep Chrome updated. Let me go to,
And I got another question. This may, I don't know if, when it comes to like get element by ID, right? And attributes, in that video, you took it off screen out the quotations, right? It's,
um,
it
said it?
said
Which video was it?
video like I was on 84. Like this is like my third time doing the video. So it's when you take it out the quotations, right? Does that like change in the console?
You said 84. I'm not sure. Could you could you would you mind sharing your screen? You can give me an example, or I'm not sure if you're.
Yeah, I'm clocking out at work. But
Man,
yeah,
it's you said 84. Let me go to 84. 84 is let me see, I see
because you
date.
was doing like the toggle in the what's the name? It's called a toggle or something. Like, is it like because you kept taking away the quotations.
Um, a
Right.
toggle attribute.
Yeah.
Let me see, inside a toggle attribute. So when you, I mean,
Oh,
let me go to the actual function. Um, there's a lot of stuff. Uh, but yeah, when you reference just in general, when you're doing like get element by ID, you have to put a string inside of it. Like you have to put the quotations. I'm not sure exactly. Like,
But in the video, you took away like the quotations because you didn't want to have a repeat of.
oh yes, yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. What I was, yeah, what I was doing was I was putting the strings into variables.
into variables. Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah. And then I was naming the variable the same name as the string. So you probably saw that the quotations were taken away, but that was the variable name. Like it
But
was
you always do that in the variable though, or you just do it for what you did in that video.
you don't have to do that, but I was just doing it because we started to repeat different variable names. And if you're repeating different variable names, you want to make sure that the name is always the same. And the only way to make sure the name is always the same, if you don't misspell something, is to put it inside of like, is to put it in like different variables. Like,
Oh,
like for password generator, for example, like there's a lot of different, like there's a lot of different strings, and you want to put those strings into variables so you won't misspell it. You don't want to use the same, you don't want to like um it's just less risky, really.
it's less risky to do it that way.
Yeah, like you won't risk like misspelling something. Like for example, like it says password numbers here. I use
Right.
password numbers like a few different places. Like I use it here on line 21. um where else do I use it? I use it here on line 35. And we don't want to just keep doing password numbers as a string all the way through all of the code because we might misspell it. Another benefit to not to putting it into a variable is, let's say we wanted to change this string. If we wanted to change this to like, instead of password numbers with an S, just password number with like just singular, no S. All I gotta do
But
is
you will always keep it in the quotations when you want to change it.
which so you I think the confusion is it's not about having it in quotations and not having it in quotations. The thing is you want to have the strings into variables. Anytime you have a string, you want to put that string into a variable. So whenever you want to use that string, you reference the variable instead of just writing the string somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when
Don't think of it as quotes and not quotes. Just put it into a variable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey Isaiah, with that being said, you actually did that in the quotes app
Mhm.
with the actual URL.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So can you explain that? Like, so it's basically the same premise, right? You're just trying to reference it without having any mistakes, or
Right. So here I had mentioned it a little. Like I only used this one time. The only time I use this is on line 20. So I could have just put the string here. But like in general, like it's always a good idea to put strings into variables, even if you only use it once. Like for example, this right here on line 22, I should have put that into a variable. Like that shouldn't be there. Like if I did this at work, they would ask me to put it into a variable. Like it's like everyone, like it's just like a common thing, common practice everyone does. So I'm just gonna replace that with the variable instead. You never want to put strings in here. Because the other situation is, what if you want to change the name of the string? What if you want to make this instead of inspirational quotes with an S? Now, every time we use this string, it's going to be changed. It's going to be linked to this variable. So it's going to change everywhere else in your code. So instead of going through and changing it every single line, you change it in one spot, and one spot is referenced throughout the whole code. So it's a lot more efficient also.
all right, one more question after that. I forgot what app it was that we did, but you also like I think what you created objects
Yeah, yeah.
out of the variables so you can reference them. Is that like so say for instance for the inspirational app, like can we could do that same thing with with all of the, you know what I mean, with all of
Right.
the strings, right?
Yeah, yeah. I would actually suggest doing that, to be honest. Now, what I was gonna do, like all the way at the end, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do this video. Well, not anytime soon. I was gonna refactor everything. Like I was gonna go through all of these JavaScript files and take all of the strings that's like left around, and I was gonna put all of the strings inside of like inside of a file, and I was gonna call it const .js or something like that. And I was gonna put all of the strings into this file and have all of those files reference the strings in this file. That way we have, or I can just like strings.js or something to make it more. So now I have a one central place that has all of the strings inside of all of the different apps. So I would, yeah. And that is how we do it. And like at the job. It's all of the strings are in one folder. And to be honest, we put it inside of the util folder. Let me just delete this. We put it inside of here, this util folder. So I can put it here, or I mean I can make another file to do it that way. But yeah, keeps everything organized.
Cool.
Mhm. Oh, all right. So it's 10:20. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If so, right now, actually, before I do that, today we're gonna work on the joke app and what's Pokedex. I'm just gonna run through the joke app just so that we get past that, and then I'll leave it up to y'all to do the Pokedex app. So I'm going to download the starter code for joke app and then like just go through it from scratch. I'm just gonna I'm gonna solve it, and like I'm gonna try to do it in like a teaching way, because there's one thing in there I wanted to show. Open this up and let me close this. This is like the solutions and stuff. Don't need this open either. Okay. So I'm gonna open this up in VS Code. And jokes.js, empty file. So I'm gonna go to the course and get to the directions. Directions are here. It's basically saying this is a joke API. It's telling you to download the starter code, which I already did. And it's saying using the following information, make a request to set HTML elements in the corresponding data. The documentation for the joke API is here. This is a URL that we use inside of the request. We use a get request, and this time we have something called headers, and we have to use a header here. And I'll explain what this is once we get there. But I'm gonna open up the documentation. I copied it. Copied it here. This is where the documentation is. You always want to look at that just to see like what's available. So this is it here. It's basically saying that it has a few different, I guess one of the things it has is this random joke thing. You can search jokes. It looks like submit new jokes. So like you can put your own in here as well. But I'm just gonna click on random joke here and see. And it basically just shows a random joke. See, new joke, every time I click a new joke, it's basically showing us like how exactly this works. If I go to API, I'm gonna go to API here. This is the actual documentation. See. I usually scroll down until I see an example of how to do it. And we can see one here. It says fetch random dad joke. Like we have a few different things. We're not using this one. Let me see. The one we're using is, oh wait, that is the one we're using. So so we're making a get request to this, and we have some header here. I didn't really teach this syntax here, but I did show that, you know, you got to put it here like as a header. And the way we do that, first we have to use fetch. Actually, anytime we want to make API call, we use fetch. The next thing we do is pass in the URL. So the URL that we pass in is here. It's the same one. You can copy it from here, or you can copy it from the actual course. And I have it here as I have it right here. So I'm gonna copy that. I'm gonna paste that in here. I'm gonna put it into a variable. Actually, I'm gonna just say joke URL or whatever. That's the URL. I'm gonna put the method into a variable as well. The method is get. And I'm gonna put the headers into a variable as well. Headers. And I can probably take it to a step further, and I gotta switch out these quotations. Sometimes when you copy quotes from somewhere else, it gives you back a different character. So these are the ones we need. But yeah, I'm gonna take this a step further, and I'm gonna put all of this stuff inside of an object just so we get like practice with that. I'll just say joke strings. I'm gonna just move all of this stuff in there and then refactor this. So we got all of the strings. We got all of the information we need inside of one object, joke strings. So fetch takes a
quick question. Okay, never mind. That's him. Now, I was gonna say in the actual object, you have to put what is that? Commas after each thing.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
So the last one is optional. You can put the comma, but like it's really optional with the last one. So yeah, first thing I'm gonna pass in is the URL, jokestring.url, and then I want to pass in like the header. Whenever you're passing, so first thing I should say is if I just do this by itself, it makes a GET request, right? And when it's making this GET request, the server, like the server that is calling, like at this URL, this determines what format it gives us back in. Like it determines like what data format it's going to give us back. So if I just copy this, right, I'm gonna copy the string and I'm gonna put this into the browser, right? Remember, before we was doing this, we were seeing like we were seeing JSON come back. But if I paste this now, I get the actual website. So essentially what this is doing is it's saying, okay, if I reach out, if I make a GET request to the server and not tell it what I want to get back and not tell it any additional information, it's going to pass me back some HTML and CSS, which is what's displayed here. And just to show you, just to drive that point, I'm going to go to Insomnia. Let's get some practice with this. Where is it? Random jokes is here. And actually, let's do a new something. Let's do a new one. So practice joke. Oh wait, this is the URL. Get requests to this. Okay, I'm gonna create this. Okay, that is here. And if I press send, it gives me back. Hold on. What is it? URL. Why is it saying that? Okay. All right. So I press send and it gives me back the website. Like this gives me back all the HTML and CSS. But what we don't want to get back this stuff here. And that is why we use headers. Instead of the server telling us it's going to give us back HTML and CSS, it gives us the option to say, okay, server, like we want to get it back in a different form. We actually want to get back JSON. And whenever you get back JSON, it's going to give you like the actual like data. And let me show you. If I go here to random joke, I already have this saved or whatever. I have this here, and I have inside of the headers, I have accept application JSON. This is the same as this here, see, accept application JSON. And when you put that as the headers and you press send, it's telling the server, I actually want back some JSON. And when you tell it you want some JSON, it's going to give you back a joke, basically. So let me zoom in here. So this is back a joke inside of JSON. So I'm gonna give a header here because if we just do this by itself, it's gonna give us back the HTML and CSS. The way to do headers is we have to pass fetch, this fetch object, a second parameter. And the parameter that we pass it is like some object. And that object has like some stuff inside of it. And I'm gonna put that object here. So OBJ. This object takes a few different like properties. One of the things it takes is the method. Let me double check this because I don't want to pass the wrong stuff. Let me see fetch. See JavaScript fetch parameters. Okay. Okay. So these are some of the parameters it takes. I'm just going to copy this. I'm gonna just paste that inside of here and just change some of the stuff up. So one of the things it takes is the method, right? The method we want to use is this here. We want to use a get request. So jokes strings dot method. So this is going to be get. We don't need to pass any data. It didn't ask us to put any data in there. So we don't need that part, but we do need headers. So I'm just going to put the header in here, dot headers. So we're using the fetch API. We're passing in the URL and we're passing in this object here. And just to like put all of this stuff like as just strings so it's easier to see. Like this is literally what we're doing. Doing this. And we're doing this. And I'll comment this out just so we have all this stuff just like here. So this is essentially what we're doing. We're passing a URL and we're passing it a second parameter of data. We're saying we're making a GET request and we are passing in some headers because it asks us to pass in some headers. So I'm gonna comment this out. And I'm just going to use this version here. Now, after we use the fetch, remember fetch, it returns a promise. So whenever you're working with promises, you're normally working with the .then method. So fetch actually gives us back, like I was saying before, it gives us back a readable stream. And readable streams is not something we can use like in our code because it's just like random pieces of data. But the readable stream, which is going to be the data that comes back, has a method on it called .json, and this .json passes us back a promise, and that promise is going to give us back some data. This data, not to be confused with this one. This is just a complete different thing. I'm just going to name it joke data. Just to keep it like differentiated. It's going to pass us back some joke data. And this is going to be in the form of an object this time. I'm going to put a debugger here. Just so we can see. Actually, I'm just going to log it. I don't need to put a debugger. It's going to log joke data. And I'll do something like this. Joke data. Let's do joke data. So we'll log joke data and we save this and open this up. Didn't open it up yet. Copy path, browser. Just gonna paste it in here. Open up the dev tools. I can see that it prints out here, and it's actually, I think we actually got back JSON. Let me put a debugger here. I'm not sure why I'm saying object. You know what? I think it's probably saying it because it's trying to convert it to a string. So what I'm gonna do instead of putting this debugger, I'm gonna just say joke data, and I'll do another console log joke data. Let me just see what this does. Refresh. Yeah. So that's what it was doing. So it was converting this object to a string, which is why I say object. I put them on two different lines, and now we see that we get a joke back. I refresh, we're gonna get a different joke. Get a different joke every time. What did the calculator say to the student? You can, some of it's cut off. You can count on me. Different jokes every time. And basically what we want to do though with this joke app is, and this is it down here, we want to be able to click on this and see a new joke pop up here. Remember, we did this stuff before, so I'm not going to let y'all like have to worry about redoing the same type of stuff. We know that we have on click, obviously, because it's saying it doesn't know what new joke get new joke is. And we can see that on click in the HTML. If I pull it up, let me just pull it up really quick. We can see here, there's an on click here. So what I need to do is I need to define that function here. I need to do all of this stuff. I need to actually do the fetch inside of the function. So now every time I click the button, the joke app, if I refresh, and every time I click it, we're gonna see a new joke pop up here. It's just gonna do that fetch all over again. And what we want to do though is change this text here. Let me inspect this. This is called joke text, has the ID of joke text. So we can literally just do, we can do get by ID, and we can change the inner text to something. But let me figure out what we're going to change that to. I'm gonna open this up. Look like we're going to change it to the joke. The joke is inside of the actual object that comes back. So I'm gonna make sure I'm doing this the right way. I'm just gonna console log joke data.joke just to make sure I actually get the actual joke back. I don't have to put that console in there. I'm just gonna put this one here by itself. Refresh. So now I get the actual joke that comes back. And this is the text that we want to set inside of here. So I'm gonna go back here, put this back, and I'm just gonna set this equal to joke data.joke. And now if I refresh, if I click this, now we see that the text actually changes here. But there's just one thing that we're missing. If I do a refresh and I open this back up, like this says the same thing. Where I put in a life bar, save the hippie. Like even if I refresh, it always defaults to the exact same thing. We want to default this to a different joke every time. So in order to do that, what we can do is we can just call this one time. So we can just set it as soon as the page loads. And then every time after, when we click it, we set it to a new one. Or refresh that, we get a different joke. If I click it, obviously a different joke pops up here. So that is the joke app in 20 minutes. It took me to explain it. But the only reason I explained is because a lot of these concepts we did before, we've used this before, we've used inner text before, and we've seen like fetch before. But I wanted to teach y'all like this headers thing here, like how that comes into play. Any questions on this?
So the headers and like the content type are basically just in the request is basically just what you want, the data you want to get back, basically.
Right, exactly. You just telling them, hey, like instead of giving me whatever you're gonna give me by default, I want you to give me application JSON. Now we didn't do that with inspirational quote. We just literally we just put in the URL. That's it. We didn't even put in like the method and stuff like that. But that's because inspirational quote by default gives you back JSON. So we don't have to tell it to give us back JSON if it's going to give us back JSON either way. But the joke API doesn't do it. It don't do that with their API. So, but yeah, we're saying give me back JSON, and that's how you say it. We want to accept JSON on our side. Our application want to accept JSON. So. Any other questions? Okay. So if there's no other questions, I'll just do a quick intro to the Pokemon app, and I'll leave it up to someone to share their screen and just do it on their end. So first, I'll give a quick demo. If you haven't already seen the Pokemon app, I have the complete version here. Let me open this up. So this is the Pokedex here. Basically, if we search a Pokemon name, the Pokemon should show up here, and we should get a few like some data with like all the different Pokemon. And we can see here that we have like a reference link here. It says Pokemon reference. This is just a anchor tag. I'm gonna click that. It basically gives us a bunch of different Pokemon. Like we see a bunch of different Pokemon. In case you didn't know like any Pokemon name. So I'm gonna copy this. And I'll just paste that inside of here. And that Pokemon shows up. It shows the number of the Pokemon, the type, which is water type, the height and the weight. I think this is in meters. I'm not sure the thing, but height and weight, HP, attack, and defense. And literally any Pokemon you paste in, it's gonna come back. Like just pick like a random one or whatever. Keep that in, and we get that Pokemon comes back and has all the information. So basically, I'm gonna leave it up to y'all to do this one. And I guess the other thing I'm gonna show is like whenever you press like something here, let me open up the dev tools really quick. Every time you click into this box, it makes a different it makes another like request like to the API. So it's basically requesting whatever you pass in here. So if I pass in like dog, it's going to look for a Pokemon named dog, which is not found. Where is it? Dog here. So that basically what this does is, because we're searching every single time we type here, by the time we actually get to a name that actually does exist, it's going to get all the information and it's going to display it here. Like for example, let me just go to this Pokemon. I'm gonna just type in this one, Magpie. If I'm saying that right. Just want to type that in. Did I not? Oh wait, that was a broken version. This is the fixed version. Mag. So he shows up here. As soon as I get to that Y, it pops up. So those are just like little hints to see, like, so y'all can know like how to make these requests. And this is a very involved project, so it should take y'all some time to get through it. So I'm gonna stop sharing. Y'all can download the starter code and just start it from there. And whoever wants to share their screen can just do it. So any questions before I leave it up to y'all? With this.
I mean, if you want to keep going, Doc, you can, man. Like, you don't gotta leave it up to us.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be here to help. Like any questions you ask me, like, you know what I mean? Like
I got you.
There's no limit. There's no limit. Yeah. So if you're looking at it, you're like, okay, I don't know where to start. Like that's not like a bad thing. Like you just go through it, dissect it piece by piece until you get the whole thing. And towards the end of the class, wherever y'all leave off at, I'm gonna just like finish it through so that we get everything.
Got you.
So I'm gonna stop sharing. I'll leave it up to y'all to figure out who want to share the screen. So yeah.
We should start playing that Jeopardy music.
Yeah.
I
Guess
was there. My computer is broken, so I'm out.
I'll share, guys.
Thank you. I actually didn't finish the joke.
One thing with Pokemon, you don't have to use like the headers. You can just use so that's another clue. And there's some directions in the actual course. Like there's like some directions on it. If you go to like the first video, you're gonna see some stuff.
You got to get the API information first, right?
Right. Yeah. All in the first one. So if you go to Pokedex inside of the, I think it's lecture 158. You just click on that. Just read through it. And you can see all the information there.
Let me get situated here. Close it. Yeah. Or you could just throw it in the chat for us, man.
Yeah, that's just the start code. Yeah, you can if you actually click on the actual box, like
That's just the starter code.
that's just a drop down. Like if you click on that box where it says 158, like yeah, just click anywhere right there. Yeah. Do anything if you click that? Okay, cool. So yeah, that's the directions right there.
Using a fetch object open access of the HTML from the data. API can here.
Right. Yes, sir.
Set the background image of Pokemon. That's the text of Pokemon ID. Data.id.
That's what I needed to see there. I'm just gonna paste the instructions on the IDE. Notes.
Hmm.
I want to go first. Ideas?
Let's see.
Is there, everybody had their Wheaties?
Yeah. That's it for the starter code.
Well, I mean, I think we have to for the API. That's the API is already the URL is what we're accessing. So I mean, we would be making requests from that URL.
All right. Let me see. Set the background image of Pokemon. So how do you set the background image? Google it.
Well, actually, let me pull up the HTML again. Well, what was the screen that he was talking about? Hold on.
Set background. Let's set in the background image of the document object model property. It's going to be for changing the to the whole page is document.
Actually, let me do something else, guys. Oops, wrong one. Hold on 2 seconds, guys. What I'm doing is bringing up the actual so we can see how it actual flows.
Yeah.
All right, so I think it was Magpie.
Background attribute which specify in the body tag is
That's the Joke Complete app. That's not the Pokemon Complete app. The one you have. That's probably why it's not working. Yeah, you can see it in it. You can see it. Yeah. So it's Joke.
What's up?
That's not the Pokemon code is not gonna be there. It says Joke Complete right there. See it? I think you put up the wrong one.
Huh?
in the URL. It says joke complete.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, you was looking.
I got you. Actually, okay. Apologize for the delay. I have so much downloaded on my computer.
Let's try to figure it out.
All right, so this is Pokedex. All right, so these projects, let's get a feel for this. All right, here we are. Okay.
So for that image, the first one, the image, set the background image of Pokemon. We got to do that in the CSS folder, I think, right? Background.
To set the image background to Pokemon. Set the background image of Pokemon to the data sprites. No, well, the data sprites are the ones that are actually, it is the API information that we're trying to access. So I think we have to do like the fetch JSON document.
Oh yeah. Hold on, let me go to that.
In order to do that. That's the part that I'm
Using the fetch object, make a request and set the HTML elements with corresponding data. The documentation for API can be found here.
We're gonna have to do something like this, guys. So
It said the documents for API can be found at a different website. I don't know, it might have some significance.
well, this is the website that the documents are found at right here. We have something in the chat. Yeah, show them first in here. Let's. And then we have to create a variable for that URL. So it's.
Put them down for this.
Actually, I don't think this is supposed to be this. So now that we have that you have to be able to set Pokemon ID. All right, I want to phone a friend. Got to phone a friend, Isaiah.
Yeah. All right. So what to do first, right? So the first thing I would do is write fetch in there, right? Just yep. And then so it's a function, right? Yeah. So what you put inside of there, you got to put the URL in there.
And then there also, that's when we put the what was the application, the accept part.
Yeah, we don't have to put that for the Pokemon app. it doesn't require us to put it, so we just gonna leave it out. The only thing we need is a URL, because we know that if you just put a URL inside of there, then it makes a GET request. So just put the URL inside of there. Yep. And I would just change this real quick. Like, you see where it says Pokemon name in the URL? I would actually put like a Pokemon in there, just so we can test it out to make sure it works. And get rid of the curly brackets also.
For
The curly brackets that's around it, you can just delete those. Yeah. Yep.
actually, before we go forward, you said the reason why we didn't have to put the type of JSON that we are trying to accept because of why again?
Because with the so with the Pokemon API, if we don't tell them what we want to accept back, by default, it gives us back JSON. The only time we want to put that, like the accept application JSON, is when it's giving us back something else by default. Like when we have to tell it what to give us back. Like different APIs require you to do certain things, like different things, but the Pokemon API, it don't require us to do it. So
One more question. You just have to read through the documentation to figure out which APIs would do that, basically, right?
right, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
But for this one, I took all of the guesswork out, and I just put all the information you need in like on that one page in the course or whatever. So you don't even have to go through the API document.
Gotcha. That was for my own druthers.
Yeah, yeah. So with fetch, right? We got to do a dot then, because we know that it gives us back a promise. Yep. So you do, and the data that gives us back is a readable stream. So inside of dot then you can just put like data, and you can put like, yeah, the arrow function, no, inside of the,
Okay, that's right. Because it has to,
yeah,
I had to get you to break that part down for me.
So you want to do return. So what we're doing basically, then is that's a method. That method takes one parameter, and the parameter that it takes is a function, and that's why we pass in that function right there, that arrow function. So we do
that's part of the promise thing, right?
Right, exactly.
I want to know the part is I want to break down the syntax of that promise, and because like the error and the catch, and I just want to kind of go back over that one more time.
Okay. So what promise is basically, let me actually request control, and I'll just write it from your side. You should see something pop up at the top of your screen.
All right, cool.
Okay. All right. So what promise is, right? This part here gives us back a promise. That function, whatever it's going to return, is going to return a promise. And since we know we're going to get a promise back, we can use a dot then and a dot catch. I don't even think I put the dot catch in like the solution, but the dot then, or let me do a console log here. The dot then, this gets fired, like this function gets fired if this comes back successfully, if there was no error. But if there was an error, the dot catch gets fired. And the reason I'm doing a console log here is because I'm going to console log whatever error comes back. So if there's an error, we're going to console log the error just like that. But if there's no error, we're just gonna run this function here. And I guess while we're here, this promise, that's going to give us back some information. Like it's going to give us back a readable stream. And remember, readable streams, we got to turn that into an object. So I can't even use the paste here. I've tried to do Control V. Let me see. So paste. That's not what I meant to do. Data.json. This is going to give us back a promise also. Because this gives us back a promise, we can use another dot then. It may look a little bit confusing because of because it looks a little different than how I was doing it, but it's the same concepts. But we could do another dot then here, where we got some more data. And this data is actually going to be the object that we get back. So we can just put like a debugger here, or we can just console log it, whatever you want to do, console log data. So we'll promise it. We get the dot then if it comes back without a error, and if it does have an error, we do dot catch. That's the only difference between the two. And the only reason we're using another dot then right here is because we're returning another promise with this. And we only need one dot. We only need one catch. We don't need like to put like more than one catch here. So if this fails either here, or if it fails on this, then like it's gonna come down to this catch, and it's gonna give us back the error. I'm giving you back control. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna stop the remote control. I'll leave it to you. So yeah.
Come on, buddy.
Get that muzzle beyond his flesh. Like this. Make sense? Now,
Let me see what that error says over there. I can't see the whole thing.
That was from up there.
I have
I said, hold on.
I like the customization of the of your things and like the meditation thing. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I just have to get some of the operations working correctly. I had to work with some of the HTML and that other guy, but man, this damn thing in my way.
So you got the URL. Let's see.
So it should press on the screen and it should give us an error. On the screen, it actually did give us the array. So we
Move
did.
it over a little bit, or like maybe zoom out a little bit. I just can't see like the dev tools part. I only see half of it. Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, never mind. Never mind. It's not you. It's me. It's me. I'll turn my phone to the side. Yeah. Mobile app.
All right. So we are getting access to the information, which is what we wanted, right?
Mm-hmm. Fire has already been declared.
That's from the inspirational apps.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not even on this one, y'all. Sorry.
All right, cool.
I was doing some playing around, trying to refigure stuff, and
Yeah.
all right. So we do have access to that information, which is what the purpose of that exercise was there.
So the text of Pokemon ID to data.id.
All right. So I think that's where we actually grab the HTML element and then put the data into that. I think that would be a get element by ID, I think.
Get Pokemon ID. Yeah, I guess get Pokemon ID. No, hold on.
No, that's not the right one, but and we set the data ID to.
You gotta delete those quotes. Those quotes are not like actual characters. You can delete them and put your own. You see that it's like yeah. So if you put quotes of your own, it's gonna show up the right way.
I was actually trying to think at the same time though.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So set the text of the Pokemon ID to the data ID.
I feel like you should go to the HTML, see if you can find Pokemon ID. Oh no, wait, because we building it up, so it's different. I don't know.
Now that actually I might be wrong in that then on the get element. I might be wrong with that because we're not actually getting it HTML.
Yeah, but this was crazy.
But the data ID is so that basically is setting the text of the data ID is actually is part of the information that's in the API. So we have to reference that.
Mm, mm.
Isaiah.
Yeah.
I know, right? Seriously.
All right.
You know what I mean? We still got the train wheels on, dog.
Yeah, it's all good. So on line 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
Computer console log data.id. And then on line 7.
Council
seven.
log data.
On line 7, you console log data. So under that, underneath that, on put do data.id. Or console log it.
In the parentheses on line 7, you got data already. Just put
Gotcha.
that ID. Mhm.
Yeah. And now under that one, I want you to console log data.name. Yeah. And then under that console log data.height. You see where I'm going with it?
Yeah, so it's like a bunch of council because we actually put that in. All right. It's different doing it the other way, man. All right.
This is me like breaking it down for y'all, like so you can see like where all this stuff is coming from. So your console log all of that stuff in parentheses, and then like that's the hint or whatever. So I'm gonna teach you a shortcut, right? If you hover over a line, right? Like right now you're so click at the end of line 9 really quick. And then on your keyboard do a Control C and then press Control V. You see how you putting it? Yeah, it's
So just clicking at the end of the line and then Control C, Control V instead of having to highlight it.
you can just keep doing Control V now because you already have it copied and you can get a whole bunch of lines through that.
The
Okay.
third one is data.height. Dot weight.
You need help music?
That's crazy.
6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Hey.
Cannot read properties under oh of unidentified. Okay. It's
Mm,
hold on.
Yeah. You see how the error was on line 17?
yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
Yeah.
That's for but that was the error that we wanted though, right?
Well, so the catch or whatever, it gives us back an error. Like, I guess it gives back an error no matter where the error is. So it's kind of hard to try to figure out where the error came from. Obviously, the data is coming back the correct way, but
Right.
there is something that you did that you wrote that's not exactly correct.
I think I see it. It's the data.
Right.
I do have another question for you, man. Like,
Yeah.
and this is kind of off subject, but completely on subject. Do you find yourself like having to get ample amount of rest?
Like, no, I don't. I'm always tired because I'm always doing too much stuff, to be honest. So yeah.
The reason why I say that, man, is because like I feel like if I've been trying to go really hard at coding, and you know what I mean, and I like I put like crazy hours, you know what I mean, and I come and there'll be something that'll error, but then I'll come back, right,
Yeah.
and it'll be so obvious, and
Hmm.
I feel like I feel like if you aren't here and you're too tired, you're gonna make mistakes just because of the simple stuff that you know what I mean that you have to do, and it's repetitive and right.
Right. Yep. Just like what you just did, basically, right? Like the day to
Yeah.
day. Yeah. So a technique you can do whenever you like just get stuck, just walk away from it for like 10 minutes. Cause like it's amazing like how often you get the right answer or you see something that you didn't already see just by taking a 10-minute break. Um, Another thing I would watch out for is coding like too much because there's such thing as is getting burnt out. And we talk about it in like the coding world. You don't want to burn yourself out because when you burn yourself out, it's like your mind just don't want to process any more stuff. Like it don't even want to look at code or whatever. Um, so just be I would say just be careful with how much you code because it can definitely like burn you out. And then you sit here and you make like, you make simple mistakes you wouldn't have made if you were completely aware.
You make data mistakes.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That can happen either way, but yeah, it's more likely to happen if you're tired. So
what I also found too is that like I can't like if I'm like digesting stuff like this, I can't afterwards I can't watch anything serious.
yeah, yeah. Like your
Like I
brain
need I need to watch something I don't have to think about. You know what I mean? Like cartoons or you know what I'm saying? Something that's just like completely like
is mindless, just like
mindless.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. So yeah, and with that being said, like I take a lot of naps when I work. Like I'll take a lot of naps, especially when I'm working from home. I'll take like 3 naps or something like that, maybe even 4, because I'm thinking so much, and it's like I got to give my brain some time to like focus or whatever.
Right.
But
I can see it. I can see it.
yeah,
All right. So back to the code. So now at this point, we have access to these datas that are in the API, or data types that are in the API. Now we have to set the text to the IDs that we have here. Okay. Any suggestions, team?
What's next? Mm,
This is the part would normally look at uh other apps that we had used similar situations to, but I don't want to confuse people or anything.
So I'll give like a clue with what to do, right? Online, I guess we can start with line 23 through 37, right? It's saying to set the text on 23, it says set the text of Pokemon ID to data.id, right? So how do we, so if you go to the HTML, there's something with the ID of Pokemon ID.
Actually,
Well, you don't want to search with the with the pound sign, because that's just like the you just want to search Pokemon ID by itself. But yeah, you paste it in there. Yeah. So we can see that that's a span or whatever. We want to set the text of that. And the thing that we want to set the text to is, so if you go back to the JavaScript, Pokemon JS, we want to set that text to data.id. That's why I was like, yeah, console log all of that stuff. So we console logged it, but now we know what we're actually setting the text to. So you just got to set the text to those elements. So Pokemon ID, Pokemon name, Pokemon height, weight, HP, type, attack, and defense. And you do all of that inside of the dot then where you console logged it.
say that one more time.
So you wanna set the text of that HTML element.
Got you.
You want to set that to data.id. You remember how to set the text of an HTML element?
That was inner text, right?
Right, exactly.
But then you threw me off when you say you got to put that all inside the then statement.
Right.
That's
So,
the part.
right,
So I got to put it up here. Okay, never mind.
right, exactly, because that is where data is. Like, that's the only time we have access to it.
I got to get element by ID, then data dot.
Right, get element by ID.
Okay.
Yep. What document I get, or you get by ID is that is
Yeah,
the
because we already created the function for that, though, right?
right, exactly.
That's just. Does that create a new variable?
You don't have to create a variable. You can just do dot inner text right after that.
Oh, hold on.
Right. And you just do the same thing for the rest of them.
Learning new tricks.
Yeah. Those things speed up like really fast, speed up your coding.
We're going super slow. Anybody have any questions though?
Yeah. Do everybody understand like what he's doing, like, what's going on?
So you will always log it, right? So if you're not using a log, what would be the other option? I
So
probably fell asleep a little bit, but
the reason we're logging it is so that we know like if we're accessing like the right stuff. Like we had to set like the ID, the name, the height, the weight, but we wanted to make sure like um we was looking in the right spot within the actual object that comes back. Remember, data is that big giant like object, the JSON that comes back, and we got to go into it. We got to do object.id, object.name, object.height. That's why we did all that console logging so we can make sure we get all the right stuff. Earlier, Duran had made like a typo when he was doing the console logs. He had console log. I think he did like data, and that's something that was prevented because we console logged it instead of just straight trying to set it. So we like prevented like a potential bug basically. Um, so we're just doing it step by step. Let's make sure let's make sure we get everything we need by doing the console logs, and then after we know that we got everything we need, we're gonna set the text of all the stuff to what we need. So like he's doing now, he's like he's pasting in all of the IDs that we want to set the text to.
I really like the way that Ja was console logging everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, that was helpful. Yeah, I remember
I
that.
really like that, man. I really like.
Yeah, those console logs help, and we use them at work to to debug. Like sometimes we'll just leave the console logs in there because when something go wrong, we can just go to the console and just like we logged everything. So now we can go to the spot where we know it broke to make sure that it console logged exactly what we wanted to console log.
I mean, and it does nothing for the end user. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
yeah, but it all makes sure that that you know exactly what's going on, which is the important part. You know what I mean? So
Right. Exactly. So yeah, most people not gonna know they even go to the console, so they're not gonna see the stuff in there anyway.
so
So you can test that to see if that works. I know we still gotta set the image, but you can test that to see if that works. I think you got everything. I wasn't even like paying attention. So you got name, height,
ID, name.
E, type, attack, defense. Yeah, you got everything. So you got all the stats. Let's make sure that works, and then we'll change like the actual sprite after that. All right, cool. So everything dropped in. Yep.
Mm.
So now we just gotta do the image. Um, So right now, if you go back to the actual browser, the image that we have right now is the Pokemon egg. We want to change that to whatever comes back. So you gotta figure out how to change
To
that.
match the name of the character.
Right, to match online 22 data.sprites.other.dream world dot front default. That gives us back the URL for the image. So what I would do is I would check to see how is that egg even showing up on the screen. Why is that showing up there? And then figure out how to change that to whatever this is, data.sprite.other.dreamworld.front default. All right, so I just realized what time it was.
Uh-huh.
um,
You need screen back?
yeah, I can run through it really quick. The actual solution.
All right. I stopped share.
We got most of it down, and I'm just literally just gonna just go through the actual file, the actual solution file, just to show you
Alright.
what we have is like basically the same. As what y'all was already doing. So it's Pokemon complete.
Like I feel like I know what I'm looking at. I just need to know how to build it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. We're definitely getting there. So this is all the code. Let me this is all the code for it. So what we did was we did what's it called? We used fetch and we passed in like the URL. Now what I'm doing here is a little bit different. Like I have remember y'all have the URL and then y'all have like the Pokemon name or whatever. The Pokemon name, I'm getting that from here, from the from the Pokemon search box. So it's literally the exact same setup, but I'll show you exactly how to come into play, whatever. But either way, this is the whole URL that we're gonna get back, and we use this to turn it into into the data that we can use. The same as what you have, and then we're doing that thing we're doing get by ID. You know, we change.
Style, background, image. Okay.
Yeah, and that's how we did it exactly.
Okay.
So we changed the background image of Pokemon. The way that was even set to begin with was in CSS. It wasn't even an image tag. Here.
See, my instincts were correct, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you
Yeah, feel good.
yeah. And this egg is inside of the SS folder. So if I go there, like this is the egg here. We just literally just put that egg in there like that. So yeah.
Thank you.
I pretty much solved the whole thing. But I mean, and let me go back. Let me go back to Pokemon JS. We can see that this is inside of a function, right? This function is being called inside of the HTML. I go to the HTML. We can see it here. So it's we're using this on key up. Remember we used it a while ago, and we're using that on the input box. So whenever we key up, we call this function. Some of this stuff. Put a debugger in here. so we can see it. And I'll even like put this inside of another variable just so we can see that also. Let me go back. Let me refresh this. Open up the dev tools. So I'm only making a call whenever I key up. So I'm gonna just type M. So I keyed up and it fired that function. Let me put this on its own window so we can see it better. So first we get the text that's inside of the input box. Text inside of there is M. Remember that input box is Pokemon search. That is HTML. That's here. The Pokemon search. And the way we get the text inside of an input box is this. We do get element by ID and we do dot value. That's how we know the text inside of the input box. So it's M. Then the whole URL is the actual URL that we have up top. And then we're gonna turn this to lowercase letters because like these Pokemon names have to be lowercase. So that's the whole URL, that whole thing plus the Pokemon name, which is just M, which is
Question is that because the data in the APIs are all lowercase in order to access them, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to search for like lowercase version. It don't do a check on the other side. So we want to make sure, you know, it matches perfectly. Most of the time, this is lowercase anyway. Always keep your URLs and stuff lowercase. I've never actually worked with anything that had capital, but yeah. So we got the URL here, and we're gonna make that fetch. Obviously, we're not gonna get back any data because there's no Pokemon with the letter M. So go straight to error, and it's gonna console log the error. Go next. It's gonna console log. I'm gonna just hit play really quick. We see the error here. Unexpected. Well, and there's a few other errors in here also, but this is the main error here. Hold on. What line was that? That was line 20. Line 20 is basically saying like it's basically saying we're not getting back anything, and we're trying to go into like we're trying to like reference something that's not like that didn't come back.
So is it not like whatever we're trying to reference is not in the array at position 0?
Right, exactly. Like there's no like this happens whenever you're trying to go into some object that doesn't exist. But I mean, now that I'm showing y'all this, I'm realizing there's like some things that I missed in the course. It says 404. I don't think I even told you what 404 even means. Anytime you see 404, it means file not found. Like it was not found on the server. I need to put this in the course, what these things mean, because there's 404, there's 500, there's 200. Like there's a few numbers that mean certain things. So like when you're on a job and they say, oh, we got a 404, like you got to know what a 404 is. It means that it wasn't found. There's no Pokemon with a name of M. That's why we got the 404.
What's 500 and 200?
So 500 means that there was an error on the server. So it wasn't our fault. On the server, like they messed something up. Maybe the code got messed up or something like that. Something messed up on the server code. 200 means that 200 means okay. Like like everything came back exactly how you wanted it to come back. And we're gonna see a 200 whenever we put an actual name inside of here.
Hold on. So basically, you said the 500 is the error that you get like after you do the fetch, right? And you try to run it, and if you get a 500, it's basically saying that there was a problem on the API side, not your side.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. And then the 200 is basically saying that it's basically right. You got everything correct from the server that you was trying to access.
Right.
Okay.
Those are the only three you have to know. There's a lot more numbers, but those are the three numbers that's important: 200, 404, and 500. even here, like we can see status 200. This was the joke API. 200 means everything went okay. But we're gonna see this 200 in here. Let me just I'm gonna just copy and paste the name so we can get the full thing. Copy that. I'll just paste that in here. Yeah, I'm gonna do an on key up. Hold on, let me. I don't know why I just did that. Let me just hit play real quick. Okay. All right, cool. And the text. So I just pasted in. The URL is that whole thing with this as lowercase. Hit play. Why did it go to an error? Yeah, I'm not sure why it errored out. Yeah, I'm not sure why this even happened. But either way, we get the 200. We can see the 200 here. And yeah, the 200 comes in the console, so we can see that here. And we can see those 404s here that we was getting last time. 44444, 200 means okay. And we actually get back stuff. Let me go back to the source. Now we can start setting all that stuff: the ID, the name, the height, the weight, etc. And all of that stuff out of this data object. All of this crap inside of it. So yeah. We hit play, and it shows up here on the screen. So literally any Pokemon I paste in here, I turn to lowercase, it's gonna reach out to API, and it's gonna set all of the different stuff that comes back. And all of this stuff comes from the object that it gives us, the JSON. So that was close. Y'all had this part. We just had to put it into a function and just make the URL more dynamic. And dynamic means like it's like flexible. Like we're changing this every time whenever we type inside of the whenever we type inside of the input box, this is changed. Like, so when you hear the word dynamic, it just literally just means like it's like a flexible variable. It can be different stuff depending on different situations. So
Yeah, and that's the little stuff that like, yeah, crazy. You gotta think about. Just I mean, because I wouldn't have, when I thought the lowercase, because once you input the value, you normally input, and it's a possibility it might be capitalized. You know what I mean? But it still wouldn't. And if you didn't do lowercase, the URL wouldn't register, right?
Right. Exactly. Yep. If we took that out, let me see what happens. Actually, I never actually tested it. Let me just take this out.
So was that just like a common practice that you knew how to do already with the input field type stuff, basically?
Yeah, it was a common practice. I don't think I actually tested it without, but I always put it. Yeah, it didn't even show up. If I go to the network, there's a 404. They don't even know what that is. So it wasn't found.
Yeah, that's crazy. You'll be driving yourself crazy trying to figure out what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
And it was just a capital letter.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So one thing. And I mean that's how a lot of errors come, honestly. Capital, lowercase, like this, those are like so common and they always happen. Somebody didn't put the right like cap or whatever, like case. They didn't put the right case and it just break everything. Something like this can break a whole system. Like if you put something like this on the back end, like something that wasn't checking for uppercase or lowercase or whatever, it can literally just break the whole app because of one small thing.
Nah, man, local storage was giving me hell, bro, because I wasn't capitalizing the S in local storage, so I didn't know where the hell to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was tearing up shit over here trying to figure it out, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely want to make sure you do that right. And it gets kind of weird because like when we using this, we keep using this get by ID. Like we don't get auto completion with this. Well, we not. I think it's just doing this because like it saw that somewhere and it just remembers it. But style dot. Yeah, it's supposed to give us different styles. Like there's a bigger list of styles here. It don't even autocomplete for us. So like you can see those mistakes can like happen like very often. It's not until you actually use the whole thing, document dot get by ID, dot style dot, and then we get the full list of styles because it knows what we're trying to do. It's like puts it together. So yeah. The auto completion helps, but sometimes it's just not available. And that's where we can go wrong with the case. All right. Those 12.
So basically, like the APIs and sprites and stuff like that are used in games, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know
These
what I mean? So
hmm
when you're setting up your game, you're pretty much using the API to access where to get all your images and all that good stuff from, right?
Yep. Yep. That's how all of
Yeah.
these work. Even when like you playing online, if you're playing somebody online, they use APIs. Like let's say like we did like the my bad, I'm eating right now, but how we did like the on key up and on key down, stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
games, if you're playing somebody on the other side, whenever it sees like an on key up or like an on key up or on key down or whatever, it sends like a message to the API saying, okay, this person just pressed the up button. Like, okay, now I know this person just pressed the up button. It's gonna go to the other person that we're playing, and it's gonna say, okay, this person on the other side pressed up. Now make his character jump up or whatever. Like every small little thing you press whenever you're playing a video game, if you're playing somebody on the other side, like it keeps making API calls. And the API is like the middleman telling the other side what exactly you did. And it's going to keep both of the screens showing the exact same thing. So everything is like APIs. Like everything-
Man, so like from the designer perspective, then so you would just create your images in the API,
right.
right?
Yeah,
In
those
order for the game to access it.
right, exactly. These images, and they get stored as like text. And the text can be converted to an actual image. And all of that text that you store is like in some database. The database has all the names, all of the information that we saw is inside of a database somewhere. It's most likely stored in some form. So
Got you.
yeah, an API. So you reach out to the API reach out to the database gives the information back to the API gives the information back to you. So there's one big like long trip from you all the way to the database, all the way back to the API, and it's all done in a fraction of a second. So it really like, doing this program and stuff, it really shows you how powerful the internet really is and like how fast this stuff like happens. Like it happens almost instantly. If I refresh this page, all this loading is just it reaching out to the API and then displaying all the information back. Literally, if I open up the dev tools, we're gonna see all those API calls. Let me just refresh. There's a whole bunch of API calls. It's literally getting all the information it's gonna display on the website. Even all of these Pokemon and stuff. All the where the Pokemon at? Oh, I just click on one. I think I clicked on one by accident. Let me go back. Um, yeah, it reaches out and grabs all of this stuff and puts all of this stuff on the page. The exact same way we just did inside of this inside of the Pokemon app. They did the exact same thing. Now their API is a little bit different than the one we're using, but or maybe it's the same. Like I don't know, honestly. Probably check it.
Mhm. Yeah, so this is the part you were saying about having to pay for API services.
Yeah, yeah. So you start to pay whenever like you start like that the data and stuff like that. It has to go somewhere, and whenever it goes somewhere, like somebody got to pay for it to store it there. Like having storage on your computer. Like if you want to store stuff on here, you gotta start to pay for this stuff. And that's why you pay for APIs, so they can store all of your data on there.
Question: why wouldn't you create your own API storage?
You can, and you can set it up to your computer if you want to.
I mean,
Yeah.
because then because like you think about privacy and stuff like that too, right?
Yeah, you can do that, but it's not in your best interest because now you got to maintain it. If something go wrong, now you got to fix it. And fixing APIs and fixing servers and stuff like that, that's a whole nother discipline on its own. Like we're learning HTML, JavaScript. Now you gotta learn Java. You gotta learn about SQL. Like there's so much stuff you gotta learn just to do that. So your best bet, instead of learning it, you pay somebody else to do it for you. Yeah, companies like where I work, like JP Morgan or like Google or like Facebook, they have their own like API. They hire people to maintain it also. So yeah, for regular people like you and me, we have to use stuff that other people give us. You know. So it's 12. I don't want to keep anybody that wants to leave. So on Tuesday, what we're gonna do is start the CRUD app, and that is the CRUD store is next one down, this one here. So if y'all can go through this video, go through the APIs, make sure you understand it, and then go to the CRUD store. We're gonna start the CRUD store on Tuesday. And hopefully we can finish this on Sunday. We'll see. Yeah, there's no questions. I'll Tuesday, and I'll stay for 10 minutes to answer any other questions from anybody else.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, question. At the beginning of all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So using the URL, did you go in there just to correct some things? Like, what was the whole purpose of using URL? I know you probably explained it, and I probably fell asleep.
You're saying like this one here, like the URL inside of Fetch.
So when you go to URL, what does that mean? Like, is this permanent changes?
You was breaking up a little bit. Can you say it again?
Yeah, does it make like permanent changes when you go to the URL?
So we never made
like when you like all.
So you're saying do it make any permanent changes? So we didn't actually make any changes. So since we use a get request only retrieves data. Like it's saying give me some data. We didn't like change anything. You're not actually going to change anything until you make like a delete request or a post request or like a put request. That's when you start to like manipulate the data. But whenever we go to CRUD store, that's when we're going to see how to do all of that stuff. Like I kind of taught it, but I didn't actually like show how to do it. In CRUD store, we're gonna get data, we're gonna adjust it, we're gonna add some data, we're gonna delete data, and it's gonna be permanent changes. So that's all to come.
In CRUD store.
In CRUD store, yeah. I taught the concept.
Oh.
There's not an inspirational quote. The before videos, the pre videos. If you go through those,
right,
these rest like part 1, 2, and 3, that teaches like the concept. But we actually put it into practice when we get to the CRUD store.
Oh. Thanks. See you Tuesday.
Any other questions?
I just got a comment, then I'll bounce. Your videos, bro, the Udemy course, man. Thanks, butter, bro. I I'll make sure that I give it, all the ratings, but I went back through it, you know what I mean, just to get further understanding. And it's like night and day, like once you go back through it again,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like once you start like soaking in some of the references and concepts and stuff like that. But once I went through it again, it kind of just hit me again, like, damn, this is dope, like what you're doing. So yet
Yeah.
again, appreciate you, family.
Thank
Appreciate everything that you're doing as far as teaching these concepts, man. Like it's dope.
you. For sure.
Without peace, love, positivity to everybody.
Same. Anybody have any other questions? Okay. All right. If there's no questions, I will see everyone on Tuesday.